In this video, we're going to be looking at whether boxing is a good sport to get into. Boxing has many pros and cons, so whether you're thinking of getting into boxing as a recreational hobby to do with friends, to become fitter, or to become the next world champion like I wanted to be when I was younger, it's important to reflect on the question of whether it's worth getting into. In this video, I'm going to break down what the pros and cons of boxing are, whether you're looking to train for fun or to compete, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on whether it's worth getting into. Sound good? Let's get ready to rumble. Is boxing good to get into to improve your fitness and start a new hobby? Pros: it reduces stress. Even just one boxing session per week can greatly alleviate stress, anxiety and depression. It's great to do with friends and a brilliant way to make new ones. You can do boxing with your closest friends down the park with mitts and gloves, and the boxing gym is a wonderful place to meet like-minded individuals. It improves self-confidence. Exercise, in general, is a great way to improve your self-confidence, and if you know how to protect yourself, you will naturally feel more confident. It's an excellent workout. Boxing is a full body workout that is easy to do for beginners. It's fun. There's nothing more fun than letting off steam when punching alongside good, fast music in symmetry with other fighters in the gym. It develops muscular endurance. Punching and moving for an extensive period of time demands a lot of stamina, which with consistent training will develop over time. It improves your cardiovascular system. Boxing increases your heart rate and you're able to both work the aerobic and anaerobic respiration systems. Disadvantages: it can make you more violent. From personal experience, the more I watched boxing and the more I practiced it, the more I enjoyed watching people punch each other in the face. Therefore, you can say that it makes you enjoy watching violent things. Did boxing make me more violent or aggressive towards others? Not really, but it might be different for other people who do not practice self-reflection and mindfulness. It can hurt and injure if you partake in sparring. The headgear you wear in sparring does very little to protect you from brain damage, and you are always open to body wounds. To prevent being injured, you need to make it clear to every sparring partner that you only want to box at about 50% intensity, and you also need to be careful to maintain that intensity yourself, as it is easy to try and hit harder, which will only be reciprocated. So, is it worth getting into for fitness? Boxing is one of the best sports to get into if you're looking to improve your fitness and have a lot of fun along the way, because it requires your entire body to exert energy into every shot, and the better you get, the more enjoyable the flow and movements become. The only downside is if you choose to step into the ring and forget to let your sparring partner know that you don't want to get hurt. In summary, boxing is absolutely worth it due to the whole host of benefits, and it's one of the most brilliant sports out there. It's one of my favorites. Is boxing good to get into for self-defense? Pros: all the benefits and pros in the above section earlier on in the video still apply to this section here. But on top of those benefits, you also experience less fear. I don't know if it was growing older in age or if it was learning how to box that made me more confident walking down the dark alleyway at night. I think both. There is a lot of punching in street fights. If you get targeted by a gang or that big bully who isn't trained in fighting, I can guarantee that the first punch they throw is an overhand right. If you learn how to box, you'll learn how to slip this punch and defend yourself effectively. Cons or disadvantages: it's not that effective when you're fighting multiple people at once. When a trained boxer goes up against a large group of untrained thugs, the thugs will likely be able to take you down and hold you down. Therefore, it would be better to train in parkour and join a running club. Here's a fun example of why it can be better to train in parkour. You can hurt your hands if you land a punch. Punching without a pair of boxing gloves on is something you want to avoid completely, because it's very easy to bruise and break your hand when striking a hard surface such as a skull. I've actually created a video on this and I'll put that in the link in the description below. If you have to throw a punch, do it to the liver and kick or knee, elbow, or just run away instead. Is boxing worth getting into for self-defense? Learning how to box is a terrific way to protect yourself when you unexpectedly find yourself in a street fight. And whilst other combat sports such as Taekwondo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu might be a safer solution for protecting your knuckles, you'll be much better off knowing how to punch correctly than if you didn't. That being said, the majority of fights occur when you react to someone who is criticizing or bad-mouthing you. Former FBI hostage negotiator Chris Voss said, Whenever someone showed verbal hostility towards me, I simply paused for several seconds, smiled, and put my hand out to shake the other person's hand, and in a low, friendly voice, I'd say, "My name is Chris." Not surprisingly, this flabbergasted and astounded the other person, who transformed their hostility into empathy, and Chris was able to build a human-to-human connection. I tried this technique before, and it actually worked. I was on a night out a few months back in Old Street in London when the bouncer at a nightclub reacted negatively to my question of whether it was busy inside or not. The bouncer denounced, disparaged and insulted me in front of the group in an aggressive manner. I literally thought he was going to hit me. So I put out my hand and did what Chris suggested. He instantly shook my hand, and shockingly he just opened up his truer, kinder self. So in summary, boxing will improve your ability to defend yourself, but it would be wiser to run away instead, if you can. Is boxing good to get into for a career? Let's look at the pros. The advantages in this section have also been covered earlier on in the video, but here are additional advantages into a career. Huge salary if you make it. As you probably know, the best boxers are paid more than most professional athletes. For example, Floyd Mayweather's net worth is about $450 million. George Foreman's net worth is about $300 million, and Manny Pacquiao's net worth is $220 million. Fans, fame, and recognition. The better you get, the more fans you will have. You will see fans with tattoos on your face, on their arm, and artwork of you spray painted on walls across the world. Incredible fitness. Boxing is physically demanding, and your VO2 max will be incomparable in comparison to the average person. A lot of boxers start late, meaning you don't necessarily have to be young. Interestingly, many of today's best boxers started in their late teens and early 20s, which shows that you can start at this age and be equally as great. I actually wrote an article about when is it too old to start boxing, and I put that in a link in the description below. It's an article you can read. Discipline. Everything in your life will be regimented for you to perform at your best. This includes what you eat, how often you train, how often you rest, and much more. Lifelong memories. You'll look back with utmost happiness, pleasure, and joy. Now let's look at the disadvantages. It can overinflate your ego. Being a celebrity will mean you get a lot of people complimenting you all the time. This can make some fighters feel more superior when around others. You can die from one punch. Approximately 7 boxers die each year from fights. This data is based on pro or amateur boxer deaths from the year 2000 to 2011. You have to get punched every week in sparring. Practice makes progress, and sparring hard is a part of this practice. Fortunately, the head kit doesn't protect your brain from rocking around your head if you get hit, and there is nothing to protect your body. Dieting. Boxers have to fight at certain weight classes if they choose to, and the lower the weight class, the harder it can be. However, not all boxers diet. Take for instance Tyson Fury, who has a layer of body fat. He's also one of the best boxers in the world, if not the best. Boxing is taxing on the joints. Training 5 or 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day, is extremely taxing on your body, and you might need a walking stick in your old age. The solution is to take plenty of rest days and listen to your body. You will earn virtually no money in the beginning. Amateur boxers might get free equipment and a few £100s per fight, which will mean you'll need to have some other source of income. The smartest fighters utilize social media by documenting their training and building relationships with sponsors. An example of someone who has been doing this well for a while is Ryan Garcia. You can see his Instagram here. You may be unlucky in access to the best coaches. Who do you think will be a better fighter? A 15-year-old newbie who has walked into Floyd Mayweather's gym and is being coached by the man himself, or a 15-year-old newbie who has walked into a local gym with coaches who have only trained amateurs? Is it worth getting into boxing for a career? A career in boxing is one of the toughest, most brutal careers any athlete can have. However, a career in boxing can be worth it if, and only if, you have the right coaches, trainers, diet, facilities, and most importantly, the right mindset. Anything is possible to those who believe. I tried going for it, but I injured my posterior cruciate ligament, which is a ligament in my knee, so I had to throw in the towel. But if you are generally passionate about the sport and are smarter with the number of rest days you take than I was, you will absolutely crush it. I'll end on this edited advice from James Clear. The list of mistakes you can never recover from is very short, but you'll likely realize your life will not be destroyed if you lose your next fight, or you don't sell enough tickets, or you get slandered for saying something in a press conference. It's not the failed outcome that paralyzes us, it's the possibility of looking stupid, feeling humiliated, or dealing with embarrassment that prevents us from getting started at all. The first step to being courageous is being willing to look foolish. Believe in what you want. Go after your dreams, chase them, and never give up. Only you can determine how far you can go. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've been able to make the right decision as to whether boxing is good for you. Now I'd like to turn it over to you. Do you think boxing is worth getting into? Are you looking to compete or start a new hobby? Perhaps you have a question you'd like to ask. I'd love to hear from you in the comments section below or via an Instagram direct message. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, and most importantly, have a great day.